part of cultural competency and leadership is about asking questions and being willing to be wrong. There are always different expectations I have found amongst varied cultures. And so my role as a leader and pastor when offering pastoral care is to do things that not only I'm comfortable with, if I'm uncomfortable doing it, I need to be clear about that and not act like I know the culture. So I often will ask questions or say, would you be okay if I shared this with the larger congregation, if it's a prayer request, or if I visit someone, understanding what they think about death or how their culture celebrates death is very, very, I would say, important, but something that I have to just continue to ask questions and to clarify and to make sure people are okay with how they're receiving it.
But it's hard. Cultural competency gets messy, especially when we make assumptions. Because by just assuming that I knew a group of people from a specific country, and these people were that way or this way, and just make that assumption, the whole culture is that. We have stereotyping about we make assumption about almost all cultures. People in America is a very diverse group. People are from all over the world in America. So you can't just say Americans are a certain way, because Americans are from a lot of other places. Like people like me who have become Americans, a part of the American culture, but I bring my own culture with it. So it gets messy, I think, when we make assumptions. That's it.
For example, a couple months ago, we have a family that lost their mother. The doctor said, "Who is your pastor?" Because we want the pastor to come in and continue praying for her, encourage her. And at the end of the day, we find out that she's hospice now. And then there's a certain stage pastoral care have to take place here to comfort her, to talk to her about the next life or next stage of life. The family refused for me to actually practice my pastoral care. They say they don't want their mother to know that she's going to die. Even they hide from her what doctors say. They hide that statement from her, and she did not know that she's going to die until she died. And it became very challenging to me. So the most important thing in that kind of case is you have to know their cultural manners and how to approach them with respect and dignity. Because if you don't do that, you as a pastor, you'll get into trouble.
So oftentimes the people who might not want a visit from a pastor, who might not want certain things, it's more of a personality more than culture. Like I have experience where I remember I said, "No, I'm not ready yet, I will let you know when I want to visit or not." And oftentimes it's because of personality or medical situation and they're just not ready, but it's not culture. So I haven't had those experiences.
One is, I think, to try to be authentic as a team and figure out, sometimes it's who's the best person to visit this person in the hospital or at their home, or when there's someone in need, is which one of our team might be the best person to respond. And that may be simply based in relationship. It may have nothing to do with ethnicity or cultural background. That's the first spot is letting the relationship measure that. But the second is, one of the things I've learned, and this goes all the way back to my seminary days, where I had some roommates who were from Korea, and they were in a Korean language program at the seminary I was in Chicago. One was simply trying to be, again, sensitive to maybe the norms of that, whatever that culture is. So for instance, figuring out in the room when you're in a hospital room full of family, who is the person that everyone is listening to? Who is the one that they kind of like lean toward as the elder, or maybe it's the matriarch, whoever it is in the family that is kind of the one that they focus on or are responding to, and whether that's the person in the hospital bed or not. And then being sensitive to the family dynamics at play. And again, sometimes that's not about culture. It may be shaped by the culture, but it may be simply a family system. When you do those things, when you're kind of trying to be authentic in relationship, I think that some of that other stuff will work itself out. But again, I think it's about being sensitive to, open to, and listening, and looking for those kinds of clues in terms of how the family is functioning.
And so if people are willing to ask questions and willing to be wrong, people are quick to forgive because they know that you're trying. And it is a part of the beauty of this world. You know, God has created us all in unique ways. And in order to honor God by honoring others, it's important to learn more, to ask questions, and to be culturally aware. Now, it is one of those things that you can't always control how people receive things. And there are times definitely when you mess up. But being culturally aware and asking those questions and seeking knowledge or help or asking someone else is always a great place to start when providing care. I know that for me, visiting people in the hospital and visiting homes is often a challenge. Some people do not want you to go to their homes. Others prefer that you go to their home, not the hospital. And so just communicating clearly. And I know that for me and the way that I do ministry, the ministry of presence is always very special to people and means a lot. And so I never want to assume that I know what they need. Instead, I need to ask, but I also need to be willing to be uncomfortable in various situations.